welcome to another Lawn Fawn video. Today we are so excited to be introducing you to our brand new interactive die pull and slide surprise. I love this interactive die so much. It's so easy to put together and it is so cool. As you pull the tab, you get this amazing three-dimensional pop of your cute little scene. It's also an amazing way to present a gift card. You can put the gift card at the top or at the bottom. You can have it reveal a sentiment. You can have it reveal a scene. There are so many cool ways to use this die, and we're going to be showing you that in today's video. One of the really cool things about this die is that it folds completely flat and fits in a standard envelope with standard postage, which is amazing because as the recipient gets it, they're going to get this amazing three-dimensional surprise they never knew would have been coming in the envelope. I think it's just so much fun. You can combine the pull and slide surprise with any stamps or dies in your stash. It's perfect for any season, from birthday and thank you to Christmas, spring, winter, anything that you can think of. Oh my gosh, they are so much fun to create. I love that you're able to reveal a gift card, a sentiment, or a really cool secret surprise scene. So I love that you can make them more simple or more complicated. They are so much fun. So let's go ahead and learn how to put it together. These are the dies that are included with the pull and slide surprise. We have our main mechanism piece, our pull tab, some stabilizer tracks, and then we have decorative pieces. So we have this cool little piece that kind of decorates the bottom of your mechanism. We have some really cool little decorations for the pull tab, a cute little label and some banners, and then we also have the words hello and thanks, and these are awesome for decorating your pull and slide surprise. Now the first step of the pull and slide surprise is we're going to take out the main mechanism piece, and then we're also going to take out these long strips, which are those stabilizer pieces. I've gone ahead and die cut the main piece and now the stabilizer pieces, and we're going to attach those on first. So the first thing we need to do is flip over the main piece so that we're looking at the back. And now we're going to add these little strips on, and they're just going to be going right along the edge on either side. And so we're just going to add some liquid glue to these. You can use liquid glue. You could also use some 1/8" tape. I'll do that later on in the video. Either one works. Liquid glue makes it pretty easy because you can attach it on and then just kind of move it into perfect placement. And so there you can see that I've just got it right up along the edge and just kind of eyeballed centered in between. And you can see I didn't do a perfect job, and that's totally okay. It's still going to work great. This is a really forgiving die, which I love. And so now we're going to take the other little piece and we're going to put that on the other side. Again, just kind of eyeballing it, centering it, and just putting it right along that edge. Now that we've added on these stabilizers, we can go ahead and flip the whole mechanism over, and you'll see that the die has created some score lines for us. And so this die creates 3 score lines, top, middle, and bottom. And we are going to start off by folding the middle score line, and we're going to fold that into a mountain shape. So you'll see here I'm just going to fold along that score line, and then I like to use my bone folder to just reinforce that score line so that it has a nice sharp crease. Now for the top fold, we're going to fold back along that fold. So you'll see you kind of just pull the whole thing and just push it back, press down, and then once again use your bone folder to reinforce. Now for that very bottom one, that's going to kind of flip up there. So you'll see you're going to kind of push back against that one just like that. And then once again, we're going to take out the bone folder and reinforce that fold. And this is what you're going to have, kind of like this cool little mountain here on your mechanism piece. Then you're going to take your mechanism and you're going to flip it over, and we're going to be adding some 1/4" double-sided tape to this bottom little piece here. So you'll see it's right below that last score line that you folded. I'm just going to use a highlighter here so you can see exactly where we're going to be adding tape. So it's just to that little kind of like tab piece that we formed right there. And so I like to use a 1/4" double-sided tape for this. It's nice strong tape, and it's going to keep your mechanism working so that you can play with it over and over again. So we're going to add that 1/4" tape just below that score line, just like that. And then we can go ahead and take out that pull tab piece. And so I'm going to go ahead and die cut this piece. And then the next step is going to be to remove the liner paper right there on that adhesive that we just added. Then we can take the whole mechanism and flip it over so that we're looking at the front, and now we're going to line up the pull tab piece. You'll see that the tab lines up with that little notch on the mechanism. So all you need to do is just center your tab in with that notch. And so I'll show you that again. So we're going to center that tab right in with the notch. And then after that, we just have to line up the top of the pull tab with the top of the mechanism. It's easy peasy, so simple to do. So I'm just going to push down and make sure they line up, and I just make sure that my tab is centered in the notch. Once those are all lined up nicely, all you need to do is just press down, and that's going to secure that adhesive in place, just like that. And now you can see the mechanism is working already. Now, at this point, you could go ahead and attach your mechanism to a card base, just like this. But I like to attach it to its own panel so that I can pop the entire mechanism up. It makes it a lot easier to be able to grab the pull tab, and I just love the look of it popped up. I think it just looks so nice. So that's what we're going to do here. So we are going to trim down a piece of cardstock to be the exact size of the mechanism. And so the mechanism is 3.5 inches wide by 4 3/4 inches tall. So I went ahead and trimmed down a piece of cardstock. Now, the other reason I like to do this as a separate panel is I can have a surprise color behind here, a different color of cardstock or pattern paper that's going to peek out as we open the mechanism. And so now it's time to attach our mechanism on to this panel. And to do that, we're going to flip it over and we're going to add liquid glue onto those stabilizers that we attached earlier. So that's the only place that you need to add your adhesive is exactly right on to those two little strips. Then we're going to take this whole thing and we're just going to line it right up onto the panel. And so the only adhesive we've added is onto the stabilizer strips. Then, once those are attached, we now have a functioning mechanism that has the beautiful surprise pop of that gorgeous teal color underneath, which I think is so much fun. So now the next step is to attach this onto a card base. And so I like to do that with pop dots like we talked about earlier. So I'm going to add a bunch of pop dots on the back of this just to make sure that it's nice and supported all of the way around. Then we can peel up the liner paper on those and then attach it on to our card base. And oh my goodness, this is looking so cool, and I love how quick and easy it is to put one of these mechanisms together. Now we're going to take a look at some of the decorative elements in the set, and these are the two different pull tab covers. This one here has a cute little arrow. It's my favorite one because I just love how simple the arrow is, and it can just fit right over the pull tab and give it a nice decoration. Both of the pull tab dies come with a little score line in the middle, so it makes it really easy to fold in half and then layer it over your pull tab. Now the one with the little stitching detail is really fun because you can actually stamp something into it. And we have a stamp set called Push Here, which has all of these perfect tiny little phrases that fit so well inside there. So there's a pull here, there's a slide, there's all sorts of different things that you could stamp in it. So I love that there's those both options. But for this one, I'm going to use the one with the cute little arrow. So I'm just adding some adhesive on in the inside, and then I can just sandwich it right over that pull tab. Next, we're going to take a look at that kind of plain rectangle piece. And what this does is it adds a little decoration to the very bottom part of the moving part of the mechanism. I sometimes use it and I sometimes don't, just depending on my design. It's really great for creating a little ground for your scene, which I just love. And so we're going to add some adhesive to that and then layer that right on to our mechanism. And here you can see as you pull it open, you get not only the pop of color, but I love that little extra detail on that mechanism using that decorative piece. Now, one of the coolest things about this is that it folds completely flat, so it's going to go in a standard envelope with standard postage, but it fits a gift card, and it is such a surprise when you add the gift card in. My favorite way to attach a gift card is to use mini glue dots, and I like to use two. I put one towards the top and one towards the bottom of the back of the gift card. And sometimes I'll just use my finger and kind of remove a little bit of the stickiness of the glue dots. That's enough to hold it in place, but it makes it really easy for the recipient to remove the gift card too. Now you can add the gift card towards the top or the bottom. Right now we're going to try the bottom, and so all you need to do is just kind of tuck it underneath the mechanism, and you can just center it right in that bottom panel, press down to secure it, and now you can see you would never have any idea that there's a gift card in there. And so I love the surprise of this. I think it's just so cool. And because we added just two glue dots, it's really easy to pop off and remove. Now, the other thing you could do would be to write your message down there, stamp a sentiment, or create a cute scene down there. And then you could put your gift card at the top. And so here, same thing, we have our two glue dots. We're just going to tuck it in behind the mechanism, press it down onto the pull tab piece, and now you can see that amazing surprise. I really like the surprise of the gift card at the top. And of course, it is still going to fit in that standard envelope with that standard postage. The other thing I love about the pull and slide surprise is that you can add a gift card or not, and we're going to be showing you multiple ways in this video. And so here we have that cool surprise. Look at the gift card popping out. It's just so cool, so fun. The recipient is just going to smile and love it. Or instead of a gift card, you could have the surprise be cute scenes and fun sentiments. And all of the ways are awesome, and we're going to show you all those different ways today. Then the last things that we have are the cute little decorative elements included in the set. I love this cute little scalloped label. You can add it on the inside, you can put it at the top, you can put it on the actual mechanism piece. It's just super cute and fun. And then we have these great little banners. And what's really fun about the pull and slide surprise is that you can have things hanging off of the edge of the moving panel and they'll move right along with it, which is really cool. So here I can show you how that would work with this cute little banner. So you could have a little swoopy banner and look, it still moves even though it's larger than the panel, which is so much fun and so cool. We also have these cute little scripty hello and scripty thanks words that are the perfect size for adding a sentiment onto that moving panel of the pull and slide surprise. So now that we've learned to put it together, we're going to actually make a card with it. And so we're going to be starting off with the same pieces as we did at the beginning of the video. We have our mechanism and the stabilizer piece. I'm going to cut the mechanism from this really pretty Bitsy Blooms pattern paper. You can cut the mechanism from cardstock, pattern paper, whatever is going to be great for your card. And then I'm going to cut my little stabilizer pieces out of some 80-pound white cardstock. Again, you can cut those out of anything, but I like to just use my white cardstock for this. Then we're going to take our mechanism piece and we're going to flip it over and we're going to add some liquid glue onto those stabilizers. Once we have liquid glue on the stabilizers, then we can go ahead and line it up with the edges of the mechanism on the back of the piece. And once again, you just kind of eyeball it right along that edge and then just kind of centered from top to bottom on both the left and right side of your mechanism. Then we'll take our main mechanism piece, flip it over, and we're going to start to fold along the score lines that the die created for us. The die creates 3 score lines, top, middle, and bottom, and we're going to start with the middle one first. And we're going to fold that middle one so that it looks like a mountain. And I like to use my bone folder to reinforce those score lines. Then we're going to fold back along that top one, and again reinforce it with the bone folder. And then the bottom one, we're going to fold back along that one, just like that. And then we can reinforce that with the bone folder too. Then we'll take the whole mechanism and we're going to flip it over and we're going to add some 1/4-inch double-sided tape and we're going to be adding it below that bottom score line onto that little tab that we created. Then I went ahead and die cut the pull tab piece out of some white cardstock. And then we're just going to peel up the liner paper on that adhesive that we just added to that bottom tab. Then we can flip the whole mechanism over and we're going to be lining it up with that pull tab piece. And so we're going to center the pull tab into the little notch on the main mechanism and we're going to make sure that the top of the pull tab piece lines up with the top of our mechanism there. So you can see I'm going to scoot it up and then make sure that it's centered right there. Once we have it centered and lined up, we can go ahead and press down and secure that adhesive that we added to that bottom tab. And now we have a working mechanism. So the next thing we're going to do is create a little panel to layer behind this piece. And I'm going to use some white cardstock for this as well. And so we can just measure our panel, which is going to be 3.5 by 4 3/4 inches. And I'm just going to trim that down in my paper trimmer. Then I can take that main mechanism there, we're going to flip it over, and we're going to add adhesive only onto those little stabilizer strips that we added earlier. So there'll just be 2 places we're going to add our liquid glue. Onto this stabilizer here, kind of towards one side, and then the stabilizer on the other side. Then we can take this whole piece, we're going to layer it right on top of the panel that we've trimmed down to be the same exact size, and that's going to create our mechanism. Now I think this looks so pretty with this pattern paper, but I thought it might be fun to give it kind of a frame detail to highlight the moving piece. And so to do that, we're going to take our main mechanism piece again and die cut some different pattern paper. This is from the same collection so that it's all going to coordinate nicely. Then all we're going to do is we're just going to fold up along that top score line of this piece. And then what we're going to need to do is just remove that piece that has all of the folds so that we're just left with the frame. And there's a couple different ways you can do this, and it's all just personal preference. You could use your scissors and just trim it off. You could also use just kind of like a pen blade or an X-Acto knife and trim off the edge that way, which is Rebecca's favorite way here in the office. Or you can use your paper trimmer, which is my favorite way because I'm accident prone, and so the least amount of sharp objects that I use, probably the better. And so I just lined up my paper trimmer and just trimmed off that interior piece. And now we have a perfect frame to go around it. And I think that looks so pretty. And so all you need to do is just add some adhesive. I'm going to use some tape runner all along the back of the frame, and then you can layer it over top. And now we have a working mechanism that has that cute frame. And I think this is so fun. And it's a fun way to kind of really highlight the piece that moves. So now we're going to work on the pull tab, and we're going to use the one with the cute little arrow, and I'm going to die cut it out of that same pattern paper that we used for the frame so that it just kind of blends in. There's a score line in the middle that the die creates for you. We're just going to fold along that score line, reinforce it with a bone folder, and then I'm just going to use some tape runner on the inside of the piece. And so I'm just going to kind of layer the whole thing with tape runner, and then we can just sandwich that right over top of the pull tab, and that's going to help the recipient know that there's something fun to do here. That little arrow, they can try and see what's going to happen. For this design here, I wanted there to be a little ground, so that's why we're going to use that rectangle piece that's included in the pull and slide surprise die. And I'm going to die cut that, again from some of the same paper from this collection, from some green to kind of work as grass. I'm going to add some adhesive to that, and then I can layer that onto that bottom folded piece, and that's going to work as a little ground for my whole bird feeder scene. One of my favorite things about the pull and slide surprise die is that when I designed for it, it's the same way I would design for a standard card because the whole thing looks flat, right? It looks like a normal card. So I can design in the same exact way as I normally would, but then there's going to be this cool three-dimensional element. So here I went ahead and stamped and colored and die cut some images from the new Backyard Bird Feeder stamp set and the add-on. And we're going to show you just the one little trick there is to adding your cute stamped images onto your card. And all you need to make sure to do is that your adhesive on the back of your images doesn't go above that middle score line. So see that middle score line? I'm just kind of eyeballing it. And then I'm just going to flip my piece over and make sure that I only add adhesive about half of the way up. And the reason for that is you want the top part to be able to pop up as you pull the tab. The other thing is you want to make sure it's above that little fold at the bottom too. So it's going to go right above that little green piece there, and then we're just going to press down. And then you can go ahead and start adding other elements onto your card. Now, at this point, I realized I didn't need quite such a long post for this bird feeder, so we're just going to trim off some of the excess of this piece here. And then we can add our bird feeder. Here you can see I'm only putting adhesive about halfway up. That way my adhesive doesn't cross that middle fold line on my mechanism. Once you attach your image down, then you can go ahead and pull up on the pull tab to make sure that it's working. And the more things that you have kind of overlapping that fold line, the more really cool three-dimensional pop you're going to have on your cards. Now I'm going to add some cute little critters into the scene. So I'm going to add my little bird here. And at this point, this bird is underneath that middle score line, so I can just cover the whole thing with adhesive. Same with these flowers here too, because they're not overlapping any of the score lines. And so here I'm going to add this little squirrel. And what's really fun about the pull and slide surprise is his tail can stick out over the edge, and that's totally okay. I actually think it gives it even more dimension as you pull the pull tab. Isn't that so cute? Oh my gosh, I just love it. Then the next thing I'm going to do is add one more little bird to kind of help fill in the scene there at the top. And so this guy here, you can see he's kind of overlapping the edge too, which I think is such a fun look. And now I can pull the pull tab and you can see now this fun like three-dimensional look in this fun little scene. I think it's just so cute and adorable. You can see there's my other little bird there on the back. And then when you push down, you can see the bird again. So it's really fun to have this kind of fun changing scene as you push and pull that tab. Now, for the inside on this one, I wanted to stamp a sentiment. You can do things like write your message, you can put your gift card there, you could do a fun like scene continuation, which we're going to do in just a little bit. But in this case, I thought it would be a cute place to have my sentiment. And so I'm going to be stamping out "You're a sensational friend," which I think is just adorable. And so I'm just going to go ahead and line them up. I love that the sentiments are on these rectangular bases because they're really easy to either make as a straight line or to do a fun little stack like this. Then I can pick it up with my block and I'm going to stamp it in some bubblegum ink, which is a nice bright pink, which I thought was really cute to go along with this springy scene. I always like to test my little sentiments off on a scratch paper before I stamp it onto the mechanism. And then we can go ahead and just stamp that right there onto that panel. Now it's time to work on the card base. I went ahead and pulled out some more paper from that Bitsy Blooms collection, and this is this really pretty pink color, and I have a standard size card base that's 5.5 by 4.25, and I'm going to layer the whole panel of the pattern paper on top. Then I can flip over my whole mechanism. I'm going to add some foam squares to the back, making sure to have it nice and even so there's a lot of support, and then we can attach that right on to the card base to help finish up our card. And of course now I just have to play with the mechanism. So as I pull that tab, look at that amazing dimension and the fun surprise of the sentiment underneath. Oh my gosh, I just absolutely love this. And you can see just how cool it looks. I think it'd be so fun to display it on your mantle with it popped up because it's just like this fun little diorama thing. It's just adorable. Now I wanted to add a gift card to this. So here I have a gift card and I'm going to add my glue dots to the back. I've already done that. And then I can just go ahead and tuck this right in. So it's going to tuck right behind the mechanism and onto the pull tab piece. And so I'm just going to center it there and then I can just press down and secure those glue dots. Then once that's all secured, I can close the whole card and I just love this surprise. I think it's so cool. And my favorite part is that it fits in an envelope. So I can do standard postage, standard envelope, and really surprise someone with a cool three-dimensional card. Those are kind of some of my favorite interactives where it's interactive, but it's really easy to mail too. Now here's some of our brand new washi tape. This Lots of Dots washi is so cute and pretty. And so we would just add our stamp, all of our information, mail it off, and when you open it up, you get this super cute card. You'll see the surprise of that little arrow, wonder, what's that? Pull that up, and not only are you going to get a three-dimensional scene and a fun sentiment, but you're also going to get the surprise of the gift card too. And it really does appear kind of as if from nowhere, which I think is just a really cool look. And look at all that dimension. I mean, it's just so cool and so much fun. And then I also love how easy it is to pull off the gift card and that it doesn't ruin the card by removing the gift card. So the card is still super cute. Someone could still display it so that it makes them smile on their desk or on their mantle, but you can still pop that gift card off and go enjoy a fun coffee too. So I think that's just so awesome. So now that we've created this fun friendship theme card, we're going to go ahead and create a graduation theme card. I think the pull inside surprise is really fun for things like graduation because a lot of times we're giving gift cards or cash as a gift, and this is a great way to present it. So just like before, we're going to take out our main mechanism piece and our stabilizers. I'm going to cut the main mechanism from some pint-sized patterns paper, and then those stabilizers from some white cardstock. In the previous pull-in slide, we used liquid glue to attach the stabilizers, but you can use 1/8 inch double-sided tape too. And so that's what we're going to do here, just for something a little different. So I'm going to add some of this tape to each of the stabilizers. So we're going to add one piece on that stabilizer and then another 1/8 inch piece on the other stabilizer. Then we can go ahead and peel up the liner paper and line these up just like we did before, right against the edge of the pull-in slide surprise and just kind of centered up and down. Then once we've attached both of the stabilizers, we can flip the piece over and we're going to fold along the score lines that the die creates for us. And so the die creates 3 score lines and we're going to work with the middle one first. And we're going to fold that one like a mountain. I like using my bone folder to make sure that these are nice and sharp and secure, and that's going to give a nice movement to the mechanism. Then we can fold along the top score line and we're going to fold back along that one. And then we can fold along the bottom score line, folding back along that one too, so that it looks like this in the end. Then we'll flip our mechanism over and we're going to be adding 1/4 inch double-sided tape to that bottom flap, which is below that bottom score line. And so we can just add a piece right onto there. Then the next thing we need to do is cut a pull tab piece. And we're going to cut it from some coordinating paper, which is this fun, colorful polka dot from the pint-sized pattern paper. And I love doing that with cards, just picking different papers from the same collection because I know everything's going to match so nicely. And so now we just need to flip our piece over. We're going to remove the liner paper on that adhesive that we just added. We can flip the mechanism back over and now we're going to line it up. So we need the tab to be lined up with the notch and the top of the pull tab piece is going to line up with the top of the mechanism. Once you have those lined up, you can just press down to secure that adhesive in place and that's going to start to form your mechanism. Now next, I want to cut a piece of paper to go down behind this. And in this case, I'm going to use that same colorful polka dot, and we're going to trim this down to be 3.5 by 4 3/4 inches. You can see that that makes it a perfect size to layer behind our mechanism. So now we need to attach the mechanism down. So we're going to flip it over and we need to add adhesive only onto those stabilizers. And so in this case, we're going to use the 1/8 inch tape. And so we're going to layer it right on top of each of those stabilizers. So you'll have 2 strips of the 1/8 inch double-sided tape. Then we can go ahead and peel up the liner paper on those two pieces, and then just line it up with that panel that we trimmed down earlier. I really like the look of the pull tab piece and the piece that's underneath being out of the same pattern paper. I just think it looks really pretty. Now I went ahead and die cut one of those little pull tab decorative pieces out of some yellow pattern paper, again from the same paper so it all matches. I'm going to add some adhesive to the inside of that after folding the score line, and then we can just sandwich that right over the pull tab, and that's going to give an arrow so that the recipient knows what to do. Now, I wanted to do that frame technique that we did in the earlier card again. So I'm going to take some of this really pretty rainbow stripe and we're going to cut the mechanism piece. We're going to fold back along that top score line, and then we're going to remove that center piece. And I'm going to use my paper trimmer, but you could use your scissors or an X-Acto knife, whatever is your favorite way. And now we have this frame that's going to be a perfect match. And so we can just add some adhesive all the way around the frame and layer that. And so you can see it would look really pretty without the frame and really pretty with the frame. It really just depends on what look that you're going for. And then here, as we pull the tab, you can see the look of the pull tab and the piece behind it being the same pattern paper. I really like how that looks. It just feels really magical. I think it's really fun. So here we have a brand new stamp set, which is Simply Celebrate Graduation. And we went ahead and stamped and colored and die cut the chalkboard from it, which is so super cute. And now we're going to stamp some of the phrase in there, and we're going to heat emboss them with some white heat embossing powder so that it looks like chalk on the chalkboard. And so we're just going to prep that stamped image with an anti-static powder tool. We can stamp in some clear embossing ink, which is a nice sticky ink, and then just sprinkle on some of that white heat embossing powder and then heat it up with the heat tool. And I love this look. It really does look like a chalkboard. We went ahead and stamped some more images from the set. It has these cute little mice with their little grad caps. Oh my gosh, so adorable. And then it has this little row of speech bubbles and a bunch of cute phrases. And so we're going to go ahead and stamp those phrases into the speech bubble, and they're going to be what the mice are saying, which I think is so adorable. And it says, "Congrats, grad. So proud of you. Happy graduation day. I like your hat." And time to celebrate. The "I like your hat" is what just cracks me up. I'm going to take a light turquoise marker and just go along the inside edges of all of those speech bubbles just to give them a little bit of a pop. Then I added some adhesive along the bottom edge of the mice so that we can layer them on top of the chalkboard so it looks like they're peering over top of the chalkboard, which I think is just so sweet and so cute. So now it's time to add this piece onto our mechanism. And so to do that, just like before, we want to make sure that our adhesive isn't going over that middle score line. So I'm just going to add some adhesive to the center part of the chalkboard, but not onto the mice. And that way the mice are going to be able to pop up along with the chalkboard. And so I just chucked my adhesive there, and now I can go ahead and center this on the panel. Sometimes I like to pop up my mechanism and then add my piece because it helps me just eyeball it and make sure it's nice and centered. I also think it's so cool that you can have things extend beyond the edges of the mechanism. There's something about that that gives it an even bigger pop. So big die cuts, big stamped images look so cool on the pull and slide surprise. Next, I'm going to add some adhesive there to the middle of my speech bubbles, and we're going to layer those so that they layer right above the little mice so they're all saying their fun little phrases. And then now I can pull the tab and just see how cool this is. I just love that it has such a big pop. It's such a simple interactive card to put together, but it just has such a big wow. Now for this one, we are not doing a standard card base. We actually just have a piece of cardstock, and I'm going to attach my pattern paper to it. And it's a standard size of 5.5 by 4.25, but it's not a folded card base because I'm going to write my message onto this really cool mechanism. And so we want to attach the mechanism in the same way. We're adding our foam squares so that it makes it easier to be able to grab that pull tab and really see the cool, awesome mechanism. And we're going to attach this onto this panel here. And so I think this is just really fun. It's not a standard card base, it's just a cool panel because all the information and everything is going to be included in the mechanism. So here's a gift card, and I'm going to use some mini glue dots at the top and bottom of the gift card to secure it. And I'm going to put the gift card here at the bottom. You could do the top or the bottom, just depends on what you're looking for your card. But in this case, I thought it'd be fun to tuck it under the mechanism right here and attach it on to that polka dotted panel. Then I could take my pen and I can write my message on this pull tab piece. So I would actually go ahead and write my whole message here instead of on the inside of a card. So I think it's really fun. It's just a different way to do the pull and slide surprise. And so it's going to be nice and flat, and you're going to be able to put it in your envelope and mail it, which I think is so awesome. And we have the perfect washi tape for this one too, because we have our cute little grad cap washi tape, which just makes me smile. And you're going to be able to mail this with standard postage in a standard envelope. And then as the recipient gets it, they take it out and they're going to open it up with the surprise of the gift card and the cute little message on top. I mean, oh my goodness, look how adorable this is. I just think these are so much fun to create. I have had a blast. I have made so many of these and it just makes me smile. And once again, it's so easy to remove that gift card, which I think is really great because the card is still super cute with and without the gift card in it. So now that we've created two pull and slide surprises that feature gift cards and have our cute elements on there, I wanted to do a wow one with lots of inking and where what we get is a surprise scene instead of a surprise gift card or a surprise message. So let's go ahead and start working on that. So here I have an 8.5 by 11 piece of cardstock, and I have faded jeans, wilted violet, and worn lipstick distress inks. And we are actually going to ink up almost all of this 8.5 by 11 piece. And the reason for that is we want this inked background to work for the main mechanism, the pull tab, and the little piece that we layer behind. And by inking it all up together, I'm able to create this continuous look, and you'll see how it's going to work as we start to die cut them. You can see that I'm bringing in the dye to see exactly how high up I need to go with my colors. So I had to add a little more blue on there. And now I'm going back and forth between my colors just to blend them. So a little more purple over the blue, a little more pink over the purple to make sure that they're nice and blended and so that it's high enough to work for my mechanism and my pull tab piece. Now here I'm just taking a spray bottle with some clean water and I'm spraying this piece and then picking up the water with a paper towel to give it this fun kind of starry sky look and a lot of awesome texture. Then to add some more stars into my sky, I'm taking out my Copic white here, or if you have some white acrylic paint, that works too. This just happens to be what I have. I'm going to take some of this paint and then I'm going to spray some water to thin it out a little bit so that I can pick it up with my paintbrush and then tap the paintbrush to create the look of stars across the sky, which I think is so pretty. And for this card, I'm going to be using two of my favorite sets of all time, which is Upon a Star and Superstar. I love them so much. And now my son absolutely loves space and planets and stars, and so I'm making this card for him, and it's so fun to kind of think of someone and what they love and create cool backgrounds and cool things. And so now I have my fun starry sky. I put that aside to dry. I actually let it dry overnight, and then I came back the next day. You could also use a heat tool and let it dry. And I'm going to go ahead and die cut some pieces from this. So I'm taking both the mechanism and also the pull tab piece. And you'll see with the pull tab piece, I'm just shifting it up some because I want more of it to have the bluer kind of darker night sky part. And I'll hold those in place with some low tack tape. And then I'm just going to bring my paper trimmer to trim off this other little part, and we'll trim down the rest of that to be the perfect size for the mechanism in just a bit. And so now you can see by inking up one big piece of cardstock, I was able to cut two panels that are going to line up perfectly, which I think is so cool. So I went ahead and cut the two stabilizer pieces. We're going to flip the mechanism over, and just like we've done before, we're going to add these pieces. So I'm using some liquid glue this time, and we're just going to add those to the two edges there, lined up with the edge and just eyeballed centered. And then we're going to do the same thing with the other one. Once we have those both attached, we can flip the piece over and we can start working on the score lines. And the die creates 3 score lines for you. We have top, middle, and bottom. And so we're going to start off with the middle score line and we're going to fold that one into a mountain. And I'm going to reinforce all of these folds with my bone folder so that it has a nice sharp crease. Then we'll fold up along the top line and fold back and reinforce that one. And then we'll fold the very bottom one, we'll fold back on that too, and then we'll use our bone folder to reinforce that as well. Then we can flip the mechanism over and we'll take out our 1/4 inch double-sided tape and we're going to add that onto that bottom tab right underneath that bottom score line. Once we've attached that, we can remove the liner paper on that piece. And then we're going to take our whole mechanism and we're going to be lining it up with the pull tab. And to do that, what we're going to do is just make sure that the tab of the pull tab is centered with the notch on the main mechanism, and then we'll make sure that the top of the pull tab and the top of our mechanism are lined up. Once we have those in place, we can go ahead and press down and secure our adhesive in place, and that's going to start to form our mechanism. Now we're going to trim down that last inked piece that we have, and we're going to trim that down to be the 3.5 by 4 3/4 inches. And so once again, we are able to, with one 8.5 by 11 paper, kind of inking across that 11-inch side, we're able to get all 3 pieces that we need for our mechanism. And so we're going to flip over this panel, and we're going to be adding our liquid glue onto those stabilizer pieces. Then we can flip over our panel and attach it on to that piece that we trimmed down to be the 3.5 by 4 3/4. And that's going to form our mechanism, and it looks absolutely gorgeous, and I love how all of the inking perfectly lines up. I went ahead and stamped and colored and die cut some images from those favorite sets I mentioned earlier, Upon a Star and Superstar. And now before we add our sets, we're going to do something a little bit different. We're actually going to start kind of adding it onto the card base, and you'll see why in just a second. So just like before, we're going to add our foam squares to the back, and I'm going to layer it onto this panel that is 5.5 by 4 1/4, and it's this really pretty black shimmer paper which goes along with our night sky theme. Then we're going to take some more of that black shimmer paper. I've trimmed it down to be 4 1/4 inches across, and then I die cut that with our grassy border. And we're going to be layering that over the mechanism to help bring the mechanism into our scene. And so here I'm just kind of seeing where it's going to look nice and then just making a mark where I have to trim it off because I wasn't sure exactly how high I wanted the grass. And that's a nice way to do it. Make it a little longer than what you need and then just make a mark and trim off the extra. Now to attach the grass, we're going to need to do a roll of double foam squares. And so here you can see I'm kind of layering the foam squares all around the mechanism, making sure that it's not getting in the way of my actual mechanism piece. I peeled up all the liner paper and now I'm adding another foam dot on top of each of them. So it's like a double foam square layer because I want this grass to be higher up than the mechanism so that the mechanism can move freely behind the grass. Then I can remove all of the liner paper on those doubled up foam squares and we can attach our grass down onto this piece. And I think this is such a cool look and I love the glow of the pink kind of peeking out from under the grass. And because we use those double foam squares, the mechanism has plenty of height to be able to move from behind the grass. Now here you'll see why I didn't add my cute characters onto this until I built this whole grass thing, because I wanted to see exactly where to line up my mouse and the telescope so that they look like they were sitting in the grass, which I think is so super cute. Like, look at this. How sweet is this? I love the idea of revealing this cute little scene. And next I wanted to work on my sentiment. So I'm going to take out some of this pearlescent cardstock. It's so pretty and I think it really goes along with this whole night sky of feel that we have going on. And so I die cut the wavy banner that's included with the pull and slide surprise. And I love this banner because it's a perfect size for the pull and slide surprise. And I'm going to take one of the sentiments from Upon a Star and I'm going to curve it to be the same curve as that banner and then stamp right onto that. And I love the sentiment, "You're my shining star." It's just so sweet. Before I add the banner onto the card, I want to start working on my constellations. And so I'm going to pull up the pull and slide so I can see exactly what it's going to look like when it's in this fun three-dimensional position. And here I want to add my constellation right there. So I'm just going to add some adhesive onto the right side of this piece because I want to make sure the piece that's sticking out doesn't have any adhesive on it so that it can move with the mechanism. And then I'm going to open and close and make sure that it looks okay and that I like where it's going. And then I can open it up again. And I think that is so cool. And so we'll do the same thing with the next constellation. I'm just going to add a little bit of adhesive on this one just so that it's attached only to that moving mechanism piece. And my thought for this was kind of like we can see what the mouse is seeing through her telescope, which I think is really awesome. Now for this piece, I want to make sure there's no adhesive above that middle score line right there. So I just put adhesive on the bottom and that's enough to hold it. And look at that dimension. Isn't that so cool? I love it. Ugh. Now, another fun way to get really cool dimension with the pull and slide surprise is to use acetate. And so here I'm going to use this acetate, which is a nice clear thick plastic, and I'm just going to trim down a really skinny piece, and I'm going to be able to add my shooting star to that piece so that it's floating up in the sky. And so I brought my sentiment banner back in to see exactly how high up I want that shooting star to go. And what I'm going to do is tuck part of the acetate into that constellation there, the one that's in the middle, so that that constellation can help hold the bottom part of the acetate in place, and it's going to hold it onto the moving part of the mechanism. So you'll see there, it's just going to be glued right beneath that score line, just like that. And then we can attach our star to the top of this acetate piece. Now I had the piece be very long because I wasn't sure exactly how long I needed it. I like to have that extra length because then I can go ahead and attach my shooting star right onto that acetate piece exactly where I need it. And then I can just trim off any of the excess above that star. Then the last step that I need to do is to add my sentiment. I waited to add it because I wanted to see exactly where that shooting star was going to end up, and then I can just add some adhesive to that banner and layer that into the scene. And this card is so pretty, just like this. And then when you pull the pull tab, it is such a surprise. Look at all of the dimension. The acetate just makes things float up even higher, which is so magical. And then the surprise of the cute little mouse in there, oh, I just love it. Now here's that decorative pull tab piece, and I found a little bit extra of some of that inking that we did at the beginning, and I thought, perfect, I'll just die cut this little piece from that. And so we went ahead and die cut that, folded along that center score line that the die makes, added some adhesive to the center, and then we can just layer that right over top of the pull tab. Now, I realized that my triangle really blended in there, so I decided to just take some dark blue markers and just darken up some of that inking that we did. I ran that little piece through again, and I just took the little triangle out, and I just attached that little triangle right into the center there with some adhesive. And now that little arrow sticks out a little bit better because it's a little bit darker. And so I like that inlaid look too. I think it's really pretty. Now for this top panel, I wanted to add an extra surprise constellation, and I love this heart one. It's so cute from the stamp set. So I went ahead and added some adhesive and layered that onto the top piece. And look at that. Isn't that so cool? Now I had a little extra shooting star that I ended up not using, and I thought, you know what? I'm going to put it at the top of the scene. That way, if someone really pulls the pull tab all of the way up, there'll be an extra added surprise of the cute little shooting star. I just thought that was so sweet. Now here I'm going to take some more of that black shimmer cardstock, and I'm going to die cut that little decorative rectangle piece, and we're just going to layer that right along the bottom here. And I think by layering that piece, it really helps the constellations stand out and really kind of plays along with the idea of we're looking through her telescope and seeing what she sees as we pull the pull tab of this interactive die. Now here is a standard size card base that's 5.5 by 4.25. I'm just going to add some adhesive to that and layer this whole panel on top. And now this interactive card is all done. I had so much fun making this. I love the idea of having it be a scene continuation. So as you pull it up, you get the surprise of the mouse with her telescope. You get the amazing three-dimensional constellations with the pieces hanging over the top and the acetate, and then another little constellation up towards the top too, and even the surprise little shooting star underneath, which I think is just adorable. And even this whole three-dimensional scene with all the acetate and everything, it still fits inside of a standard envelope with standard postage. You can send it through the mail, and this would just make anybody's day. I can't tell you how much fun it is to create these really adorable scene continuation cards with the pull and slide surprise. And by doing all of that fun inking, I think it just looks so beautiful. Oh my gosh, I just had such a blast with this. I love the look of the pieces really overlapping over that edge of that score line in the center, because look at what a beautiful pop it has. And that acetate really helps give a cool look to that shooting star up in the sky. And this was just so much fun to create. I just have such a blast with these pull and slide cards because they are so easy to make. You can do really cool things like fun inking techniques or creating cool things with all of your different stamp sets. And I love that I can take an older favorite stamp set and make something new out of it with this interactive die, or I can take my favorite new sets and make stuff with it for any occasion, any time of year. And I think that is just so awesome. And next up, we have some incredible cards by the design team. And this one by Elena is so super sweet. I love the ice cream theme and the little squirrel waiting for his ice cream. And then as you open it up, you get the cute surprise of the little mouse running away with his ice cream, which I think is so adorable. This card by Tammy is so much fun. I love all of her little farm critters. And then as you open up the pull and slide surprise, you get this amazing look of the three-dimensional barn. And you can even fit a gift card in there too, which I think is super cute because it looks like the farm animals are giving you the gift card. This card by Megan is gorgeous. I love this watering can with all the flowers. And then look at the little surprise inside. Oh, I just love it. Grace's card is so much fun. I love all of her cute little critters. And then look at the surprise, not only on the inside, but at the top you get that cute sloth, and it just cracks me up. This card is so sweet and so much fun. And look at all that dimension that she created with acetate. This card by Maureen is absolutely adorable. You've got the whole treasure map idea, and then you have the treasure on the inside. Isn't that so cute and fun? I love that you can tell a fun story with these cards. This card here is nice and cute and simple. We have our cute little heart tree, and then as you open the pull tab up, you get this amazing dimension with our cute little bird watching mice. This graduation card, oh my goodness grace, this is so beautiful. And as you pull the pull tab, you get this beautiful little surprise on the inside. I love that the sentiment is a both continuation from the top with the congrats, you did it, yay, you're awesome, which is so fun. This card by Audrey is also so cute. I love that she used a platform pop-up add-on, those clouds there in the background. They are a perfect match to this too, and it's a fun way to surprise someone with a gift card. I just love all the dimension. This card by Grace is so cute. I love her little graduating cat. It's absolutely adorable. And as you pull up the pull tab, you have a gift card at the top and a fun little sentiment at the bottom. So we cannot wait to see all of your pull and slide surprise cards, so make sure to share them with us. Thank you so much for watching today, and we hope you have an absolutely amazing day. Bye!